I spent 20 years with him, and one day he just said, "I don't love you anymore. I have someone else." I didn't scream, didn't beg. I just disappeared. I thought it was the end of love, the end of me. But I was wrong, because the moment I lost everything was the moment life finally gave me a chance to breathe. I met a man who didn't try to change me. He just held my hand and stayed. And when I no longer believed in miracles, I saw 2 lines. At 43, after years of silence, after all the maybe later, this isn't a story about betrayal. It's a story about how sometimes you have to lose yourself to finally find real life.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
I lost everything to find real love. I remember that day so clearly, as if it got stuck somewhere between my ribs. I was 19 when I first saw Steven. He was standing by the board in the lecture hall, holding a piece of chalk like it was a scalpel, steady, precise, not a single unnecessary movement. His voice was calm, but there was something in it, something that made you listen even when you didn't understand a word. Everyone looked at him like he was the future, and I looked at him like he was mine. Back then, I didn't know that the future isn't always a place for two. We fell in love quietly. No drama, no big scenes. Just one day he started walking me home after classes, and then holding my hand like he was afraid I might disappear. He talked about the brain, about neurons, about the complexity of human consciousness, and I listened and thought how strange it was. A man who understands the brain so well doesn't understand the heart at all. But back then it felt romantic. He was the best at everything. Professors respected him, competitors feared him, classmates admired him, and I was proud of him. So proud that sometimes I even forgot to be proud of myself. After graduation, everything started moving even faster. Steven threw himself into science like it was the only air he could breathe. Neurosurgery became more than a profession, it became his purpose. Seminars, conferences, late-night research, early morning lectures. His life was scheduled down to the minute, and I became the pause between those minutes. Our house was big, too big for 2 people who barely saw each other. I remember walking into it for the first time, still empty with high ceilings where my footsteps echoed. I thought then, there will be children's laughter here. There will be toys scattered across the floor. There will be life. But over the years, the house stayed quiet. I learned to fill the silence with little things. The smell of fresh baking, neatly folded shirts, the shine of Steven's polished shoes. I cooked dinners that went cold. I waited, listening to the clock count every second of my waiting. And the worst part, I got used to it. Children, that was a topic we carefully avoided. At first it was too early. Then there's an important project right now. Then maybe next year. And then just silence. Sometimes I imagine them. Little feet running across the hardwood floors. Laughter breaking through this sterile quiet. Toys I would gladly pick up from the floor, if only they were there. I even caught myself slowing down when I walked past playgrounds, watching other people's children like they were something unreachable, like a parallel life I never got to live. Steven didn't notice. Or maybe he didn't want to. He came home late, always tired, but with that same cold spark in his eyes. The spark of a man who had once again saved someone's brain, someone's memory, someone's life. And I looked at him, and didn't know where I was in that life. "How was your day?" I would ask. "Productive," he would answer. And that word became a wall between us. For a long time, I didn't understand when exactly I started to disappear. Maybe it was the moment I stopped talking about my day, when I realized he wasn't listening, not because he didn't want to, but because his world was different, more complex, more important. I became background, beautiful, well-kept, comfortably silent background. One evening, I stood by the window and looked out at our yard. The lawn was perfectly trimmed, not a single blade of grass out of place, and suddenly it hurt, because I realized our life had become the same, perfect, clean, empty. "Steven," I said when he walked in that night. He didn't even look up right away. "Are we happy?" He paused, slowly took off his coat, looked at me like I had asked a question that didn't exist in his scientific models. "Of course, Brooke. We're fine. Fine. That word fell between us like something final. That night I didn't sleep. I lay next to him, listening to his steady breathing. He was so close and so far away that you could get lost in the space between us. And I understood something simple that hurt more than anything. I loved him, but I had lost myself next to him. And do you know what's the scariest part? Not the loneliness, but the moment when you get so used to it that you stop imagining a different life. But somewhere deep inside me, that 19-year-old girl was still alive, the one who looked at a boy with chalk in his hand and believed that love was meant for two. And maybe she hasn't said her final word yet. I didn't notice the changes right away. First, they were small. Steven started running in the mornings. He used to barely have time for breakfast, and now sneakers by the door, damp hair, quick showers, and a new scent. Not of my home. He looked at himself in the mirror longer. Too long. Like he was searching for someone else in there. And his clothes. He started dressing differently. Younger. Lighter. Like he was shedding years. And along with them, me. Of course I noticed. But I told myself, it's fine. It's good. He just wants to be healthier. One day, he looked at me and said calmly, almost indifferently, you could change something about yourself too. He didn't raise his voice. That's what made it worse. It was cold, and that's why it cut deeper. I stood in front of my closet for a long time that day. My fingers brushed against my old home sweater, soft, comfortable, invisible. And suddenly I couldn't stand it anymore. I took it off. I chose a bright blue dress. One I hadn't worn in years. One that screamed, I'm still alive. On my way to the hair salon, I stared out the window, but really I was looking inside myself. Maybe a new haircut. Maybe I should dye my hair. Maybe I should become someone else. I didn't know who I was doing it for. For him. Or to stop losing myself completely. When I got home, the house was quiet. I cooked dinner. Slowly. Carefully. Like always. But for the first time in years, I wasn't just waiting for him. I was waiting for an answer. He came home late. And I felt it immediately. Something was wrong. Not tiredness. Not the usual distance. Something else. Darker. We need to talk, he said. And in that moment, something inside me already knew. I can't breathe, Brooke, he said evenly, avoiding my eyes. This life, it's suffocating me. I stayed silent. You don't understand. And you won't. Those words, they weren't sharp. They were dull. Slow. Crushing. I want a divorce. Silence. I didn't even feel the pain right away. First, there was emptiness. I have someone else, he added. And that's when something inside me collapsed. Not shattered. Just stopped existing. I looked at him. At the man I had loved for more than half my life. And suddenly I realized I couldn't see him anymore. You're leaving? I asked quietly. Then go. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't beg. Maybe because I had been losing him for too long. To lose him all over again. He left me the house. Money. All the things that were supposed to replace love. Funny. Emptiness can't be bought or sold. The next day my phone rang. His name on the screen. I stared at it for a long time before answering. The papers will arrive tomorrow. Sign them, he said. No, how are you? No, I'm sorry. Just instructions. I didn't answer. I just hung up. And that's when it hit me. I sank to the floor right there in the hallway. My hands were shaking like I was holding something invisible that was about to slip away. I tried to breathe, but there was no air. And suddenly I realized it wasn't him who couldn't breathe. It was me. All those years. I cried like I never had before. Not quietly. Not beautifully. But like my whole life was pouring out of me. All the dinners. All the waiting. All the maybe next year. Everything that never became real. I stood up and walked to the mirror. The same woman. But different eyes. There was no hope left in them. But something else appeared. Truth. And do you know what hurts the most? Not that he left. But that I let myself disappear long before he did. A month passed. A whole month without him. And you know, I stopped crying. Not because I stopped feeling. But because tears run out faster than pain. I was learning how to live alone. Sounds simple. But it's not. It's like learning how to walk again when no one told you that you fell. I woke up in the mornings. And the house was quiet. The same silence that used to suffocate me, but now it felt honest. There was no waiting in it anymore. I wasn't waiting for anyone. One morning I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't look away. You need to live, I told myself. And I decided to find a job. Anything. Anywhere I could exist. Not as someone's shadow. I applied to a private clinic. Small. Clean. White walls and that sterile smell that somehow reminded me of him. They gave me an interview. I was nervous like my life depended on it. Maybe it did. You don't have experience, they told me gently. Those words felt familiar. Like life stamped me again. Not enough. I nodded, smiled, and walked out. The street greeted me with cold air. I walked not knowing where. People passed by, each with their own life, their own plans, their own purpose. Me? I felt lost between them. And suddenly I realized I was tired of being strong. I walked into a café. Just to warm up. Just to drink coffee. Just to look for jobs on my phone. And maybe find a piece of myself. The door closed softly behind me. And in that moment my world stopped. He was there. Steven. Sitting by the window. And next to him her. Young. Blonde. Light. She was hugging him. And he was laughing. The way he hadn't laughed with me in years. I don't remember leaving the cafe. I just found myself outside. Running. I ran not knowing where. Not knowing from whom. But deep inside I knew. I was running from my past. From a life where I no longer existed. And then, I crashed into someone. The world tilted. I fell. The pavement was cold. Real. Unlike everything else. Careful. A voice said. A man bent down and offered me his hand. His hand was warm. Real. Are you okay? Is someone chasing you? He asked with a slight smile. I looked at him. And for some reason I told the truth. I'm running from my past life. He paused for a second. Then he smiled. Not with pity. Not with surprise. But like he understood. Then maybe you need a pause, he said. I'm Robert. He was around 52. There was something in his eyes. Not pain. Survived pain. Let's have a coffee, he added calmly. And you know, I didn't say no. We sat in another cafe. Quieter. Without my past in it. I held the cup like it could put me back together. I own a security company, he said simply. I'm a widower. That word landed softly. My wife passed away 5 years ago. I have a daughter. She's grown. Studies in another city. He spoke without drama, but there was depth in his voice, like someone who knows what it means to lose. And you? He asked. I was silent, then quietly said, I'm learning how to live. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel ashamed of those words. We talked for a long time, about simple things, about life, about loss, about how strange it is to start over when you've already lived half your life. And you know what mattered most? He listened. For real. When I walked out of the cafe for the second time that day, I wasn't running anymore. I was walking slowly. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to look back. 6 months passed. And you know, I didn't even notice when I stopped thinking about Steven. Not because I forgot, but because the pain had nothing left to hold on to. Robert. He didn't rush into my life. He arrived quietly. And stayed. Our love wasn't like young love. It didn't burn, it warmed. We didn't rush. And yet everything happened so quickly. As if life decided to give us back the time we had lost. We drank morning coffee together. Walked in the evenings. Sat in silence. And in that silence, there was more closeness than in 1,000 words. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. Not beautiful for someone. Not convenient. Just myself. And that was enough. One morning I woke up, and something felt off. A slight nausea. Weakness. My body was whispering something important, and I was afraid to hear it. My heart started racing before I even picked up the test. I looked at it like it was a verdict, or a miracle. A few minutes felt like forever. And then, 2 lines. I sat on the bathroom floor, laughing through tears. Is this real? I whispered. After all those years of silence, after all the maybe later, after everything I had lost, life came back to me. That evening I waited for Robert, But it was a different kind of waiting. Warm. Shaking. Alive. When he walked in, I didn't say anything right away. I just handed him the test. He looked at it, then at me. And in that moment, I saw his eyes change. There was everything in them. Joy, surprise, and something very deep. "Brooke," he whispered. "I'm pregnant," I said quietly but firmly. And suddenly he laughed. Warm. Real. Like a man who had just been given the whole world. And then something happened I didn't expect at all. He took out a small box. "I've been carrying this for a week," he said, and got down on one knee. I froze. The world stopped, but not from pain anymore. From happiness. "Marry me, Brooke." His voice was soft, but it held an entire life. I don't even remember saying yes, because it wasn't a decision. It was a feeling. 2 months later, we had a small wedding. No noise, no show, but full of love. Real love. The kind that doesn't shout but stays. Sometimes I think, how strange life is. It can break you so deeply that you think it's the end. And then, quietly, almost gently, it gives you a new beginning. Not perfect, but real. I lost myself once, but I found myself again, different. Stronger. Deeper. Alive. And now, when I place my hand on my belly, I understand. Life is never late. It just comes when you're ready to receive it. And love, it's not always the first one, but sometimes it's the right one.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new stories. And also write in the comments how you liked this story on a scale of 1 to 5. Watch the following video and enjoy watching.